Cybercrime seems to be uppermost in everyone's mind these days. Well, we've featured it on KLTV for a while. Being blackmailed, held to ransom, having to pay out eye-watering amounts of money just to get your system back online and working. Alas, it does not mean that non-computer crime is on the decrease. It's increasing in success as people forget about it whilst trying to stay clear of cyber attacks on their computers. What can we do to combat it? Cathy, Chadwick-Rayner and Maria Dragieevic are community project officers at West Yorkshire Joint Services and have devised a new initiative to combat scams. First, Cathy, to you, it's called Safer Project. What is it?
Well, Safer Project stands for Scams and Frauds Education for Residents. So we're out and about in the community in West Yorkshire, raising awareness about all the scams and frauds that are out there.
How many are there these days? Do you count them on two hands, or do you take an abacus to it?
An abacus, really, I think. There's thousands of scams and frauds out there. The Citizens Advice Bureau estimate that the UK alone loses £10 billion a year to scams and frauds. Ouch. So there's the scams and frauds right across the board affecting everybody. Right.
Can you give me an example of what is the most, well, shall I say popular, but you know what I mean. Which is the in one with the crim at the moment?
The latest one, I'm glad you've asked me that, is one known as the iTunes scam. It's
now,
where...
I thought that was just where I get my music from.
Yes.
It involves that. I hope it... That we must quickly say that the company itself is not involved in this scam, is it?
And the company is not involved in the scam at all. Basically, it's scammers that are using the company, they're hiding behind it, but they're ringing people or sending them an email to say that they are behind in taxes or owe fees from the HMRC or from the DWP, and they're asking people to pay the fees that day. They're playing on fear, and they're saying that if you don't pay these fees, you will be arrested within 24 hours or you'll be prosecuted the next day. So they're targeting people, and then they're saying, oh, well, actually, if you want to pay it off today, what you can do is go and buy some iTunes vouchers. And so people are having to go out, buy iTunes vouchers from retailers, come back, ring the scammers up again, probably on a premium rate telephone number.
Yes.
And reveal all the serial numbers on the vouchers, scratch them off, read them to the scammer on the phone, and then they can sell them online.
Do counterfeit vouchers online. Wow. And they seem to be working, I know a little bit about it, like High Court bailiffs. They seem to be approaching the people in the same way that a genuine High Court bailiff would approach them, saying if you pay it off now, that's fine, leave it and it's only going to get worse.
Yes, that's it. They're playing on fear.
Dearie me. So who are the most vulnerable among us?
Fraudsters and scammers target everybody, so nobody's more vulnerable than anyone else. So everybody needs to be aware and alert, although I would say that when it comes to doorstep crime, that's more likely to be the elderly and vulnerable, because they're the people who are more likely to be in the house when they're looking up and down the street to see which houses are targeted. But in the main, when it comes to scams and fraud, everybody is vulnerable. Right.
I can imagine that, because you've only got to say, hey, you might get a free Xbox or PlayStation to a youngster and they won't bother. Oh, God. So what can we do to help ourselves from stop it happening, prevent it?
Well, it's all around raising awareness. So if you know what's out there, what crimes are out there, what are the latest scams, then by knowing what's there, you're better able to recognise it if it comes knocking on your door. So it's around education, awareness, and if you know it, you recognise it and you'll be able to protect yourself against it.
Right. Some advice from you about how really to be careful. Like, for instance, I'm sure having a chain lock is a good idea, isn't it?
It is, yes. When it comes to doorstep criminals, we would advise that particularly, well, across the board for everybody, but particularly for older residents, if they can get into the habit of popping the chain on before they open the door, or look through a spy hole or a window, just to check who the caller is before they answer it.
And never trust ID completely.
Not completely, no. And certainly don't ring telephone numbers that are on ID badges, because that obviously can ring straight through to a scammer's office.
I was going to say, oh, you're absolutely genuine.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh. So it's a bit of a minefield, isn't it? But you're working at it.
We're working at it, and we don't want to raise the fear of crime, we just want to raise awareness, really.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we hope you'll come back on KLTV and give us some more hints and tips a little bit in the future. Certainly hoping for that. In the meantime, my thanks to Cathy Chadwick-Rayner and to Maria Dragieevic for all the invaluable information. I know more than I did before we started this, and more power to your elbow, guys. Really pleased you were able to come in. My thanks to the entire crew who helped make Weekly Wind-Up possible. I'm Dave Hodgson. This has been KLTV Production. Goodbye.